Welcome back to the Right Side of Grace podcast. I am Addie.
I'm Rick.
Nice.
Two times in a row I didn't laugh.
No, but you mention it every time, so it doesn't count.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so last week we had our mom on. Episode 7 was last week.
Yep, Jeannie came on. She was a good time.
She talked about her faith, family, future, fear. Just kidding. Hot seat.
Yeah, she did a good job. She talked a lot about just her family. You know,
I just had a genius idea.
What?
We should have the hot seat on our podcast.
Okay.
We could have a segment called the hot seat, and we could bring on someone random, kind of like a guest appearance, but it's a hot seat appearance.
Okay. We just get to ask them a question.
And it could just be the Right Side of Grace thing, and not like a guest appearance.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Right, there you go.
Back to what we were saying. She came on. She talked for a little bit.
Yeah, she did. One thing she forgot to get on to me, because she got on to me after we did like our second or third episode.
I think
when
it
we
was
did
our very first one.
Well, I think it was the second, because it was talking about the table, why the table was important. So it was either the second or third. I think it was the third one, because we did rats the second one, and then the table was our third episode. So anyway, I actually said the wrong name of the family. I said the Portnoy family.
Dave Portnoy.
What, Dan? Dan was a guy that I was friends with. And actually, what's funny is I sold vacuum cleaners with his mom. And we had a friendship, but they were actually friends with the Dalrymples. And the Dalrymples were the family that invited everybody over to their house to have lunch. And so I just wanted to get that right. It was the Dalrymple family.
He wants to clear the air.
I did. I wanted to make sure that it was correct.
Dalrymple.
Yeah, the Dalrymple family.
Nice.
They were just very kind to us.
That's an interesting last name. Nothing against it. It's just interesting.
I know some Dalrymples.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yeah.
Or that's what I keep thinking.
Well, they were a great family. It was a pretty big family. The daughter played basketball. She was a feisty little girl.
Oh, right, for her mom. That's
for
right.
mom. So
that's cool.
And they were really kind to us. So I just wanted to make sure I got the name right. I was wrong. Portnoy. So that was one of the things that I wanted to
clear the air.
Clear the air. And did we miss any questions that we wanted to ask Mom and didn't ask her?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
Did you?
Who knows? I think, maybe her to tell a funny story or two.
Yes, but that wouldn't really apply right in this moment because we couldn't answer for her.
No, I just thought maybe we should have had her. Maybe we'll have her come back on.
Yeah, we could always.
Tell her a funny story. She likes to give me a hard time about my skiing accident, the concussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Stuff like
we
that.
We could have asked her something like that. But we didn't want to hear about stories about you. We wanted to hear about her.
This is true. But when she makes fun of me, it's really funny.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
True. That is true. All right. You want to talk about Elon Musk and the astronauts?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I didn't even realize. So I thought I knew he was trying to go get them, but I thought his rocket blew up, or they had like a failed launch not too long ago. And so everybody was kind of talking about that. And then.
I'm not sure.
Well, he had a rocket that kind of failed, but I guess he's got rockets more than one.
I only know about the rocket that launched with when Kai Trump was there and like Bryson DeChambeau.
Okay.
That's all I know, and that was like quite a while ago.
I think the most impressive thing to me is that it catches it. It's got that one thing that, like the rocket gets caught by it's like a ringer. It kind of floats down and gets caught by the station. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, he brought back the 2 astronauts. They were supposed to be like an 8-day trip. These astronauts went on, and
Yeah.
They
ended
come
up being
back
there
with
for like
other-
9 months.
And they came back with other people, right?
No, they
Like
came
the
back on.
SpaceX people.
Elon Musk brought them back.
Oh.
Yeah, so they went and got them and brought them back. So that's pretty cool. I mean, nice of him.
I didn't even know we had people in space. I had no idea.
Elon had reached out to Biden or to the administration and offered, and he was like, "No, I don't." Biden obviously didn't say no because he wasn't making any decisions. But
His spokesperson said no.
yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's crazy. I thought, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I just think Elon Musk is like literally the smartest person of our time.
he's pretty smart.
Like, I feel like in about 30 years, well, actually probably more, but like how we learned about Einstein, like I feel like that's how kids are going to learn about Elon Musk.
Maybe.
Because
Depends on if he can last the next 4 years.
Well, yeah, but I just think like he is.
I think they're having a bunch of riots at Tesla dealerships and stuff.
Well, I think it's different. He's like a different kind of smart. I think, yes, he's smart and like he creates things, but I also think he's just very like business smart.
Yeah.
And
So more of a Steve Jobs type.
Yeah, probably
Okay.
Steve Jobs instead of Einstein. But he is just really smart. He's so interesting to me.
He is interesting.
I think he gets Botox. Do you guys think so?
I have no
His
idea.
face looks really.
He talks funny.
Maybe
He's from South Africa.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't know this?
No. He's from South Africa?
Yeah, but I'm beside the accent, Allie. I mean,
definitely
he's
think
got
he
like a
gets-
funny way of
I feel like
communicating,
he gets Botox.
and
Like
he says a whole lot for him to be so successful.
He has Asperger's, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, he definitely has autism. Because people that are not all, but really smart people that are really successful are usually on the spectrum.
I mean, you got to be a little bit obsessive compulsive to do what he's done.
I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah.
I should say
You
that,
know.
but it might be
Have y'all
that.
seen the video? It was from the inauguration of Elon next to Barron, and it's like the two ends of the spectrum. Like Elon is like clapping and like waving his hands, and Barron's just there like staring at everybody like, I don't want to be here anymore.
He's a typical teenager. He's like
Well, Barron
19
is
years
so
old.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
Again, also on the spectrum.
Well,
And how
I
tall is he?
also-
He's
6, 7, 8.
But I saw
yeah.
I saw a video and it was like, it was like Obama's daughter, one of the daughters, and then I think Kamala's kid, and then Joe Biden's granddaughter, the crazy one, and then Barron, and it was like, which one, or like, and it was like all these presidents, and like they raised these kids, which one would you pick? And like Barron was like the most like normal looking, like the granddaughter looked insane, and everyone else just looked like crackheads, and like there was just Barron. It was just funny. It was a funny meme. It was a funny meme. Okay, anyway. Sorry to say that.
Well,
Yeah.
we might as well
Elon-
just keep talking about Elon and Biden and all the whole 9 yards.
Okay, what else do you want to say about it?
Well, I mean, you got the Autopen situation that's going on right now.
So you need to tell me some more about that because I don't know.
So basically, Trump is saying, or he's suggesting that Biden didn't know what he was signing. And so there's an Autopen, which has been in use for a very, very long time. That the president doesn't have to actually physically sign a document for it to be, go into official capacity. So because he knows about the document, he's, well, I'm on vacation, whatever, just sign it with my auto signature is basically what's going on. So they call it the Autopen. It's just his signature that's stamped on a document. A lot of presidents use them. Obama was kind of like the first one to use it for like an official executive order or something like that. So it's not uncommon for them to be used.
Yeah.
But most people, when they're, present and when they want to, they'll sign it by hand. Trump signs most of his by hand. I'm sure he's used the Autopen. The Autopen is not the problem. The problem is,
Are you reading?
did Biden actually know that
what's
somebody
going on.
was doing the pardons for him?
Oh,
So
I
like
see.
his family got pardoned, Fauci was pardoned. There were a lot of these pardons like last minute. And so what they're suggesting is that somebody did this criminally without Biden's knowledge.
That would be cray.
So that's what they're saying. Now, I don't know. There's no way to know. If Biden would have to say, well, I didn't know. So
Well, he's
I'm
not
not-
mentally competent enough. Sorry, I'm on like a Biden hater.
well,
funny, but-
I'm not sure that overturning pardons is a good way to go. I don't think that we want to start doing that. I think if you start going down that path, that could be problematic in the future. I don't think we want to, in my opinion, just my opinion, I don't think Trump should be pushing for us to overturn them. I haven't heard him say that yet. I think he's trying to put into question whether he actually did it, and there may be some journalistic, investigation that needs to happen into whether or not there was some criminal activity that happens. I think that's what he's trying to get at. But even at that point, it would be a long fight in the legal court, and I don't know that you want to start trying to overturn pardons. And
Even though this is just a question, even though it's just like a preemptive, like nothing has, Hunter is like the exception, but even though none of them have officially been charged, with the exception of Hunter,
yes,
you think it should still?
yeah, I think if you start going down that road and legally trying to overturn pardons, it's just going to, from now on, that's just going to happen. So anybody that Trump pardons, I think the Democratic Party or people that hate him are going to start attacking that, try to overturn those, and it'll just start to be messy. And so the president has that privilege for a reason. He should be able to exercise it. Now, I don't think criminal, people pardoning on the behalf of the president without his knowledge, I think that's terrible. But it's going to be hard to prove that. Now, it would be smart for Trump to let the court of public opinion try that case, meaning he doesn't really. Now, I don't think that they should overturn it. I think he should say it that way. But I think some people should look into, see how valid these things were, and let people go to do their work. Start, because they can ask to see all these documents, and they can use the Patriot Act to get the government documents exposed to them. So they should be able to do that and do some due diligence on their own part. I don't know if the journalists will, but some will. And in the court of public opinion, it might do better than actually trying to go to court for it and actually overturn the physical. Because what are they going to do? Even if Fauci, gets the pardon overturned and people find him guilty, which, it affected our family, with my own father getting in the remdesivir treatment, which was later found out to be the absolute worst thing that they could do. So you would like to see people pay for that, but I think with the legal courts the way they are, and if you have enough money and you have enough lawyers, you can kind of get out of it. But if the court of public opinion can actually be more damaging in the long run for that. So that's kind of the way I think you should probably handle it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out.
So anyway, those are my thoughts. I don't know what you think about that.
I really
haven't given any thought?
I don't really have many thoughts about it. I think what you said was pretty good. I don't want to say anything and then sound like an idiot, so I'd rather just...
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Addie? I feel like you got some...
Well, no, I'm curious that if, the courts do, if it does go to court, they do decide that he was not mentally competent in order to say, yes, you can sign this, those documents would be invalid anyways, and so the pardons would be overturned.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But then somebody's got to pay for that because somebody criminally signed his name.
Yeah.
And I wonder who those people are. Would that come out? How?
Well, I mean,
you would have the person that actually did it. You would have the people that were the conspiracy to commit fraud.
Yeah.
There's all of these different layers. I mean,
the
entire Democratic Party, his entire administration at that point.
It would be a traitorous offense. It would be significant jail time. It would be a terrible crime.
It would be not good at all.
Yeah. It'd be a big deal if that actually happened. But you'd have to have Biden say, I didn't know. And I don't know that they're going to get that.
I don't think they will. I mean,
no, because he can't even.
Have we seen him since?
No, I thought he was dead. Actually, I'm serious because
I think he's showed up a couple times somewhere.
Is it him
private.
Or is it his double?
Is it a AI screening? No, but I mean, I haven't. He was really on his wits' end at the end of his term.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was not good.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, well, he kind of came out. He made some moves at the end that kind of hurt Kamala.
Probably.
And but I don't know that he was going after Kamala because later on, it's reported that he said he blames Obama for the loss, and
of
not
Kamala?
Yeah, and not Kamala.
That's just a
But
democratic way
that's
right
what Trump
there.
said. Now, who
Not
knows?
taking
Who knows if that's actually
ownership
true?
for your own.
You know, what'd you say?
Nothing.
I missed what you said.
I just said that was the democratic way, not taking ownership for your actions.
Yeah. Well, I
No,
mean, you know,
that was kind of a joke.
they kind of, you know, it was like a coup. He did sign with his actual signature, though, the document where he stepped down. They've actually proven that.
Well, I would hope to heaven so.
Well,
But
some people thought that they did it for him.
either they did it for him or if they just here you go
Kamala
sign
said-
You
it.
have to sign this.
That's
He's-
like when you're. Never mind.
There's enough inconsistencies or
Yeah.
like
Well, yeah, they.
I could be
an
that.
expert
I
looked
could
at
do
the
that
document.
job.
What, Autopen?
100%.
Of course, anybody could do that.
I'm really good at mastering signatures. When I was in elementary school and middle school, we had to always get our agenda signed by our mom, and my mom never signed our agendas. And it used to be like you would have to clip down, and so I got real good at doing a GB, like really good.
I got in
Yeah.
trouble one time because I signed for my mom.
See, I never got caught.
And no, it was really bad. It was a really bad test, and I didn't want my mom to see it, and so I signed. And my teacher looked at me, and she was like, "Yeah, that's not your mom."
You used to have to get your test signed. That should be illegal.
Just
What?
to like make parents
No.
like, "Hey, just want to make sure you're aware of this."
Yeah.
It's
That's not-
great. That was okay. You have to remember we
That's
didn't
not
have like
illegal.
Power School or Canvas or BenWeb or any of that.
True,
So that was
true.
the only way teachers.
Yeah,
could-
parents
you know
had to know.
what? I used to.
They had to
used
sign our report cards.
Well,
and-
we used to get our report cards in the mail, or in the or we'd get sent home with them and our agendas from school.
So I would sign, like, if anything had to be signed for school, my mom always signed it. And so when I would do something wrong, I had a deficiency slip or, you know, whatever you would, that's what they called them back in the day. I don't know what they call them today, but we get those emails. What are those called?
The donor emails.
Yeah. They have a title to them. I don't even know what they're called. But anyway,
Pathway to restoration.
Pathway to Restoration.
Hickory Grove.
Anything that came to my house that was bad, I would sign my dad's name. So they never knew what my dad's signature looked like other than what I signed.
Oh, that was very
Interesting.
genius
So
of you.
if I wanted my parents to see it, mom signed it. I gave it to my mom, made sure she signed it. Then I would show it to my dad. Anything I didn't want my parents to see, I signed it as my father.
Well, I couldn't do that because my dad worked for the school system.
That's right.
And
That was, I mean, but my mom worked for the school system, so everybody knew her signature. So if-
Nemo has a very distinct.
very distinct.
She's an artist, so
Yeah.
she had to have it
it
perfected.
was very specific.
Flourishes.
It's a big A,
you know.
little VA.
But, you know, my mom, you know, if a teacher had a problem with me, they would just tell my mother. And then she would tell my dad, and then it would be terrible.
The worst is my elementary school teachers were all Facebook friends with my mom, so they would like Facebook message her all the time.
You never got in trouble.
Oh my gosh, I clipped down all the time in elementary school.
You just talk too much. It's not trouble to me.
I talked too much. I accidentally bullied my friend one time. Do you remember when I got sent to the counselor's office?
Who were you bullying?
I don't want to talk about it on
Oh.
camera. I feel
I don't
bad.
even remember.
No, because it was, I felt bad. I wasn't bullying anyone, but I had said something and it really offended them.
Oh. Well, you probably were bullying. Should fill out a bully report.
No, but it was really sad for me. I'm not going to lie to you. So I don't really want to talk about it. Even though I'm the one that brought it up.
Yeah, you did. I just remember when Charlie, I knew when Charlie had clipped down because,
He would cry probably.
no, he was like, hey, I'm just going to take my book bag to my room. Like, you know, you don't need to see. Like he would announce.
He's like so stupid.
Charlie
You just
is
don't
the worst liar, the worst, like at trying to cover up something he's done wrong. He's just not good. He can't do it. And I always know. Like, it doesn't matter. Even today, if he's like trying to cover up something with his truck,
You can tell when he's lying.
I'm like, no, that doesn't,
He's a,
you're lying.
Well,
I
he
know.
doesn't.
I know when he's doing it.
yeah.
He's bad at it, so he just might as well quit doing
I'm a good liar.
it. So I don't know if I'd brag if I was a good liar. But anyway, he would always go, I'm just taking my book bag to my room. And then we knew.
I'm just going to take this to my room.
Yeah, I'm just going to take
You
it.
don't
You don't
even
need
look
to
at
see
it.
Yeah.
He would announce, you don't need to see this.
I
These are not the droids you're looking for. I'm going to my room.
I had a front pocket on my book bag, and so I was notorious for forgetting to do my homework. Like, I just either wouldn't do it or just wouldn't turn it in or whatnot. So we had yellow slips, and that was like silent lunch, and we had to take it home, get it signed, whatever. I had them stuffed in the front pocket of my book bag, and so whenever I got to the end of the school year, I was like, oh my gosh, I had so many.
Allie, that's funny.
But yeah.
I would expect you to do all your work.
Oh, I hate homework. I'm a procrastinator.
I think homework is, I don't think it should be given.
Well, I didn't do it because I didn't feel like I needed to do it.
I think in high school,
Subtle brag.
in elementary school and middle school, I don't feel like you need homework. I think once you get to college, there's really no way you could not have homework.
Oh yeah, but I think college is different.
Yeah.
I don't think college is, like, it's not mandatory education. This is something you're choosing to do.
Right.
And so you need to master this in a significant way.
Yeah.
Plus college is, you're not there 8 hours.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's just no way.
There's
But
not
high
time.
school, I feel like you're there so long. Especially, I would say elementary and middle. Like, I get, like, maybe doing a reading, like, read a chapter of a book or something. Like, having, like, some, but, like, make it
So how many classes do you have in a day in high school? I know some, like where we came from, it was 8 because you went through the whole year. So
Yeah.
it was like a year long. So they had 7 or 8 periods.
That was wild time.
And then when we moved here, it's semester. So you have, what, 4?
4 and 4, yeah.
So you have 4 classes. You're in those classes for
An
hour and
half,
40 minutes or 30?
30.
Hour and 30 minutes?
On a long day.
All along. So
We
you're in
only
those.
had long days.
You're in those classes for an hour and 30 minutes, and then so you leave your house at what, 7 or 6:50 to get to school
Not when I was
by 7:30 or whatever it is.
7:20.
So you go to school, you start at 7:40, you get out at 2:30, and then if you got practice, you get home at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
That's so crazy.
So now so 5 o'clock you have time to eat dinner. And if you just spend 20 minutes of homework in each class, what is that? Like 80 minutes of homework that you've got to do? It's almost an hour and a half of homework. So you eat dinner at 6:30, you got an hour and a half of homework.
Here's my other thing too.
That puts you, like, you're going to sleep and you've done school all day long. You're
And now
still
you do
doing
work.
school, and you go to bed and you wake up and you do school all over again.
Yeah.
I think it's
Here's my
detrimental
other
to
thing
the family.
too.
It's not helpful.
Is it would be different if, like, for example, if you were going, so like in college, you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same schedule. Tuesday, Thursday, same schedule. So if you're not going every single day to the same class, I understand, because then you have now 2 days to get your homework done. But when you're in high school, you're going to the same class every day. So you're also, like, you're not forgetting anything you learned yesterday, because that's what they always say. Well, you got to practice or you're going to forget when you get home. And it's like, I'm going to be back here tomorrow at 7:45. So, like, I don't understand. I'm not forgetting. And so I think it makes it almost unhelpful too, because especially now with homework, because a lot of kids, they either cheat and I don't care if you're a teacher listening. I mean, it's what happens. If you don't think your students are cheating on their homework, you're obviously not in touch with reality, because they cheat. And I mean, there's probably some kids out there that don't, but I just think it's so unhelpful. Like, there is, I don't want to say all of homework is unhelpful, but I do think majority is not very helpful. And I've never been a teacher, so I can't really, like, my perspective is different. So, it also could be not a very good perspective. But I think from being a student for so long and seeing if I've ever benefited from homework, I would say I benefit from homework in college more than I ever did in high school. Because the only thing that I feel like really truly needs homework is maybe math, just so you have a repetition, and maybe like a science. But I also wasn't like, I don't know.
Yeah. Homework is intended, like, coming from, my education.
Yeah, and you were
degree,
a teacher
for 6 months, so.
but still, that counts.
It's supposed to be reinforcing the topics that you already understand. And so when kids don't understand the topics, if you don't do it well enough, like, in the classroom teaching them, and they go home and try to do it themselves, and they don't understand it, all they're doing is reinforcing those bad habits, those things that they don't understand,
Or they're asking their mom and dad who haven't gone to school in 20 years.
Yeah. So Hickory Grove, that's what I mentioned, the short day, long day. They have on Tuesdays and Thursdays what they call academic flex, which allows these kids, if they have questions or if they, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the heavy game days. That's when kids have to leave early, whatnot. They're able to go and do their homework that reinforcement time during the school day with the teacher present, able to ask them questions.
Yeah, that is true. That's the one thing that I like.
So I do think I think that's smart. But you're utilizing the time that you have them.
Because
It's
you're
already
already
at
in school.
I think part of, especially in a Christian
I
school.
think school is a dying thing.
Okay. Well, I do think. Well, I think you're not wrong in one aspect. If they get rid of the federal, DOE,
I will be interested
Department
if
of
it
Education.
goes that will be so
If they get rid of that and they take away these federal regulations and then let the states have their way, you're going to have a more innovative education system where the states
decide what works best for
their students, and it makes sense.
Right.
I mean, some states are more rural and they have the local areas can do things a little bit differently than these.
Yeah.
So it's okay to do that. And I think you'll have some more innovation in education because some of the teachers that we have are extremely gifted and know exactly what to do. They are just handcuffed and can't do those things.
Common Core is stupid.
I mean, there's just things that they're not allowed to do, and they're handcuffed, and so it actually takes away from their ability.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some gifted teachers, but they're not able to do what they want to do because of these standards that are, they're just
unreasonable.
Well, they're just test based. They're like, okay, you have to perform on this test to tell us where you're at, and that's not always an accurate picture. Some people actually do have test anxiety and can't take tests, and it's not an accurate picture.
Why are you pointing at me?
No, I did that because we talked about it earlier. You don't have test anxiety. I'm just saying there's certain people that do. We talked about it just a moment ago
I was kidding.
with somebody else. But, it just, to me, we could do a better job of that. I think homework, when teachers are just giving it to be busy, I think you should think about the family. Because, okay, here's a student that has homework, and he's getting it every night from every class, whether it's 10 minutes or, that's a significant amount of time. If it's just 10 minutes, that's 40 minutes. And if he doesn't understand something and the mom and dad have to get involved, that's even longer.
And you're also not thinking about, they got sports, they have, you're in high school and you're in middle school, that's your time to you don't have responsibility. And a lot of kids work in high school. And that's another thing people don't take into consideration. I had a lot of friends in high school that worked not every day, but they worked a lot. And so their after schools were filled with they would leave school and they would work all afternoon until the night. And so it's they get home from work, just like you get home from work, you don't want to sit there and grade a bunch of papers. And I'm not saying I just think there's way more use in your time. That's why I have such a hard time with
Is that you?
No, it's
that's the Instapot.
Oh,
sorry. The Instapot's going on. I think I have a hard time with one day thinking about sending my kids to a school and then being there from 7:45 to 2:30. I think it's beneficial socially. I think it's beneficial for your sports and your athletics, but I don't think it's beneficial for a human being. I just think it's so unnatural to look at a kid and tell them you need to sit here and listen and be able to
not move. Don't move.
Understand everything I'm saying in this short period of time. I've always taken extra time to understand things. And I've known that my whole life. So when somebody's teaching me something, I can sit there and listen to them and I think that I know what's going on, but then sometimes I don't. And so I think I learn differently and then a lot of kids learn differently. So it's just hard to put all these kids that learn 20 different ways and expect them to all understand this one way learning. I think we've done it for so long the same way, and I think it could be developed so much more than it is now. I just think there's so many more ways.
Yeah.
And I know homeschooling is not for everybody, and I can see the benefits so greatly of sending your kids to school and pushing them and saying listen, you're going to be in this class with these kids you don't know, and you need to put yourself out there and you need to be able to talk to somebody. I think that's so important too. If you're an adult and you cannot speak to somebody, that really, it's hard for me because I'm you should be able to talk to somebody. That is something that my parents have told me from a young age. They have never ever when you go to a restaurant, we were never allowed to not order. We always had to order our own food. My mom would send us when we were really little at Chick-fil-A. She would make us go take our kids' meals and trade them in for ice cream cones. Because she was training us, you can speak to an adult. It doesn't matter how old they are or how young they are. You need to learn how to talk to somebody. And I think a lot of times kids don't know how to speak to somebody or don't know how to ask for help that's the other thing too. I feel like teachers are like if I don't know something in my class, I go to my professor. I do not care. I don't care if I look dumb or if I sound stupid, but I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And they're always so kind to me, and they're always so nice, and they're very understanding when I ask them. But I just think you have to learn how to have that ability.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how I got to that part, but I do think schools need to develop more than just what they are today. Like, I feel like they're just so structured for one type of person, and they're not looking at, no, there's 50 million different personalities. And, like, thank goodness, because if we all lived if everyone had the same personality, we would live in the most boring world. But I think, like, you have to learn how to develop and grow with all these different things. And especially with today's internet and AI and all of that. Like, it's just we live in such a different world, but we stuck the school system in the exact same way it was 50 years ago. Or 20 years ago. I don't know.
You're probably right. 50.
I don't know. But, yeah, school is definitely interesting. But I definitely like how I feel like now, especially, like, once you get out of high school, a lot of kids are just not going to college if they don't want to. And I think that's great. Like, I think if you...
Trade school.
Or not even go to trade school, but just, if you have an aspiration, you want to work. And I think there's a difference in graduating and going out and working hard and building your way up to something and, like, maybe not going to college, but you're still, like, working towards something than somebody that just, like, graduates high school, goes to college because they are supposed to, and then sits and does nothing. Like, I mean... Like, I don't know. I just feel like you shouldn't have to go if you don't want to, and I think that's a good thing that we're not all forced. Because there's definitely, like, personalities that should not be in college.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think but I do think a trade, if you don't want to go to college, it would be good to learn, like, some type of trade, whatever it may be.
I think you should be always developing your mind. That's another big
But,
thing.
even these guys, so, like, if you work at, like, a car shop or whatever, you have to get certified for certain things. Take advantage of all those things, get certified in that area. But a lot of these guys go straight to work. The company that hires them pays for them to get trained, invest in them, moves them up. And if they work hard, which is kind of a rarity these days, where young men and young women know how to work hard and not just feel entitled to, well, I should be able to take Fridays off whenever I want to. I was talking to a guy.
Our generation is.
I was talking to a guy the other day. He's works at a company, and they were interviewing this young lady, and she said, well, I want all Fridays off. I don't want to work on Fridays. He said, well, that's just not how our company works. You're going to have to work on Fridays. He said, well, I don't want to work on Fridays. I really want this job, but I don't want to work on Fridays. He said, well, thanks for coming in. We'll let you know. That's it. She, was just like, well, Fridays are my time, my mental health, my time, I need those. He's like, this is just job, and he's thinking this job isn't for you, but he just told her, well, thanks for coming in, we'll let you know. But he's not gonna hire that girl. But that's how a lot of people are today. There's not a lot of work ethic. People that work hard, and even if they've got some other things in their life, they don't know how to sacrifice a little bit.
I think it's like that thing where I do think school can help you too, like going off that in a sense of learning how to balance your working and your life and making sure that you're not, like, I think working hard, but also like having a life outside of that. But
yeah. Well, I want to say something to that because, the whole homework thing that we started this whole conversation about was like when you come home, there should be a family time, especially if you go to a Christian school. Like, Christian schools should value the family, and they should instruct their teachers, hey, listen, don't overload. And I think Hickory Grove does a good job because they don't overload kids with tons of homework, and I think they do a really good job, and they understand this. Especially Wednesday night, I think that's like a no homework day. But it's just helpful to parents that their kids aren't overburdened with a ton of homework, and then if they miss one day of homework, it builds up to the next day and the next day and the next day. And then the stress factor, and we already live in an anxious nation. This anxious generation, there's a book called Anxious Generation. You should read it. It's pretty good. But there's these things that just lay heavy on these young people, and family time is just eviscerated. You don't have family time because you're just sitting around a book trying to learn, or you're trying to figure out what the teacher wants in this rubric or whatever you're looking at, what you're trying to do. and it's not helpful. You need to have family time. That's just as important to the student as anything else. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
No, that's good. I do think that homework is crazy.
So,
well, I guess we could say kind of how I think a lot of times people would just go to college to like get the validation of others. And so like I think that kind of talks about how we live our lives. Like we live a lot of our lives to like validate everybody else and not really seek validation from the Lord, but like the people around us because we can see them.
Yeah.
At least that's how I look at it. But so do you have anything you want to say on that?
well, I mean, it's you idolize certain things. So like I idolize a 4.0.
Or getting a good
The
grade.
perception of people
Whatever,
looking at me and think I'm smart. And when you do that, it's dangerous. And, it's dangerous because if you don't get that 4.0, if you do get that B and you go from a 4.0 to a 3.9, or whatever the next step down, I never was close to that. So, I mean, the last year of college, I got a 4.0, but that was the first time in my life. But what I'm saying is if you idolize that and it falls or falters, then now you're in trouble because the center of your universe is crumbling. Mm-hmm. And so now your whole life is going to start to fall apart. There'll be shaky things in every area. And so that's why it's important what you said is that we keep Christ at the focus. Like he is the purpose of our life. We live to glorify him. We live for him. And when we do that, when we live for him, he's never going to crumble. He's never going to fail. And you see this happen in people's life, not only in school, but you see it happen in boyfriend and girlfriends. When you find, you start to make that boyfriend or that girlfriend the idol of your life. And then when things start to fall apart with that relationship, or you find out they've had some failure because they're the perfect person, when they have some failure, everything else in your life falls apart.
Yeah.
Instead of just trusting the Lord.
Wrap up.
Okay. I think that, one of the common things that people do is they put something as an idol in their life, like whatever it may be, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband or wife, achieving some goal. That's the idol of my life. And when that thing fails them in any way, they put so much value in that. And when it fails them, their life crumbles, and they're like what they've been trusting in to provide them purpose or comfort or direction in their life. Now that's like everything is in shambles, and who can they trust now?
Yeah.
So unless you put Christ in the center, unless you focus on the Lord and living for him, viewing God properly, that will help settle all your relationships in your life. It's when you view God improperly that all these other relationships are volatile.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that more on the next episode. So if you guys have any specific questions for that, then I would say.
Okay. Thoughts on it?
Yeah. Ask away about idols in your life, and I don't know, what other questions could there?
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Now we're going to talk. Oh, speaking of questions, we're going to get into our audience.
Oh yeah, let's go some audience questions.
So
comments. I think I saw Shelby making some comments like she's not really a child because she's not on the podcast. She was offended.
Well, she's never home.
Yeah, she's
This
also
is true.
dramatic.
You live far away, Boiling Springs.
It's literally an hour. It's all over. Anyway, audience questions.
All right, first up from, do we want to say who?
Yeah, we can say who.
Miss Lily. All right, what is the biggest life lesson you've ever learned, and what advice can you give based on that life lesson?
Oh, okay. Gosh, I don't know.
You want me to go first?
No, I can go first because I do think this is the biggest life lesson. I think, and I said this in our second episode maybe, my biggest life lesson is probably to not be afraid until it's time to be afraid. I think that has genuinely helped me out in my life so much because I think I do a lot of things that I could potentially prevent myself from doing because I'm scared of the outcome. And I think that having a mindset of don't necessarily worry about the outcome until it gets there mentality has helped me in my life so much. And I'm not saying make stupid decisions, but I think taking a leap of faith or knowing that just trusting that the Lord has a plan for it. And so I think knowing that, okay, it's not time for me to be afraid. It's not time for me to be scared. It's not time for me to get worried about this thing at this moment because we're not there yet. So I think waiting until, I think that's probably my biggest life lesson is not reacting until it's time to react.
Yeah.
It's helped me a lot in my life and make a lot of decisions and just be wise and not, and also just like take chances. I think kind of being, I think there's a lot of people that are conservative in their choices, which is fine. That's great. But I think there's also some times where you have to be able
You
to.
mean conservative meaning hesitant?
Yes, yes. Like not necessarily just like going off on a whim. But I think there's times where that's a really good thing. And I think having this preconceived notion that everything's going to turn out horribly is where people they fail. And so I think just taking a chance and knowing that it's not time to have that fear yet. That's probably been my biggest thing that's helped me in life.
That's good. All right, you want to kind of tell the genesis of that? Where?
Well,
What do you mean it's not time to be afraid?
They should have listened to the other episode.
Oh, okay. Should have listened to that episode. Okay. That's good advice. I think that you received.
He gave to me.
I would say there's two quick things. One, my dad, he used to say this all the time when we were younger, and my dad helped me just get over things. Like he never held a grudge. If somebody did him wrong, he would just like, all right, we're going to move forward. So like let's just keep moving, bite the bullet, and keep moving forward. And I was like, what does bite the bullet mean?
You know, you do say that a lot, and I guess I've never heard.
So back in, Civil War days and before they had anesthesia, if you got shot or you got hurt and you had some kind of infection in your leg and they had to cut it off, they'd give you a bullet and you would bite the bullet to kind of alleviate the pain,
Yeah.
So that was where the saying came from. You're biting the bullet to kind of not think about the pain of your leg getting cut off or whatever that you're going through. And so my dad taught me, like, look, you're going to go through this difficulty no matter what. So you just better bite the bullet and let's get through it. Let's
That's
just
another one.
move
I think,
forward.
Yeah, that's a good one.
With this. So that that one, and then with a sort of a ministry element. That helped me so much in life. That's helped me to just like, you know what, we're going to go through this. Let's just go through it. But in ministry, a man once told me, and Mike Everson was a pastor, and he said, ministry, people want to define ministry in a lot of different ways, but he had a way of communicating that was unique and good, and I love him. He's invested in my life so much, especially early. He said, ministry is about investing your life in the lives of others. It's an investment. I'm not a financial investor. I don't know, hopefully maybe one day she can help me. But as far as finances go, that's not something I've ever been fantastic at. My mom's really good at it. She's really smart. But that's not been a gift that I've had in my life. But I've always taken investment as me investing my life in other people. And that's how I wanted, be known, that I took time, that I invested in some individuals, whether that people know that or not. That's what I wanted to be known
That's
for.
good.
So those are the advice that that's been good for me.
I like it.
All right.
Do we have any others?
Yeah, we have two from Cindy Kroll. Sorry if I didn't see your last name right, Cindy. I always know where Cindy Lawrence. All right, first, is chili a type of soup? And in the same vein, are hamburgers and hot dogs sandwiches? If not, why?
So I do think chili is a soup.
I'm all right with chili being a soup.
I mean, I don't know what else you'd call it.
Yeah.
A stew?
That's the same thing. Soup and stew.
I don't think so.
Well,
I think in my mind, stew is more like
So you would say stew has meat or it's got some chunk in
it's
it?
like chunky.
Okay.
Yeah. And then soup is just more liquid with some
soup,
noodles
stew,
or
they're all the same to me.
diced up.
I think chili's a soup. I don't really know. I don't really think a hot dog is a sandwich.
I think this probably has some root in is chicken chili soup a chili, right? White bean chicken chili soup.
Oh, it 100% is a chili.
So this is what happens, I think.
That's a soup too.
I think that people have these chili competitions and somebody brings the white bean chicken chili and it's so different that sometimes it wins when everybody else has got a red sauce chili, traditional, chili. So that's That's what I think.
Okay.
But so anyway, I'm okay if it's called a soup. But
Yeah.
I also think that yes, hamburger and hot dog are actually sandwiches.
So I can see a hamburger potentially. I would never say I'm going to go get a sandwich and get a hamburger or a hot dog. I could see a hamburger making more sense as a sandwich. A hot dog is 100% not a sandwich. It is literally a weird piece of meat inside another weird piece of bread.
Yeah, but I think technically, like a sandwich is 2 pieces of bread
I'm also a hot
with meat in the
dog
middle.
hater. I don't really love a hot dog.
I know you do.
Except for if you have, I do like if you put, no, I don't really like hot dogs.
What's
like-
the potential chance?
Well, because whenever I eat a hot dog, I'm like, this is like mystery meat. I don't know what's in a hot dog.
We
But
bought a 100% beef.
I'm just not a fan of hot dogs. But if you can put coleslaw on them, then they're way better.
Man, what do they call that? Yellow jacket? Is it coleslaw and mustard?
I don't know.
Relish,
I do like
but just coleslaw.
Oh, just coleslaw and probably
Man,
mustard.
I love a slaw dog is what they call it.
Yeah, I don't really think they're sandwiches, but that's just my opinion.
That's fine. I mean, obviously, it's an opinion. It's not, nobody can, but I do think, like, in the technical sense, but that would mean, like, so if it's just basically 2 pieces of bread, does that mean like a torta or a taco? Is the same?
What the heck
Is
is
a
a
sandwich?
torta?
Well, like hot dogs
Torta's like
is
a
still one
Mexican.
piece of bread. Tacos is one piece of bread or flour.
Yeah, but just
thing.
an art.
But it's still,
You're not calling those a sandwich. Like, you're not. When I say I'm gonna go eat a sandwich, I'm like gonna put turkey and stuff in it or whatever. I'm not gonna go. Yeah, let's go get sandwiches, and I take you to a burger place. So like, I just don't think.
It's the connotation behind it, not
Yeah.
necessarily the.
Also,
the
They call them,
presentation.
I call menus, I think they call them handhelds now. Nobody's,
whatever. Wait, what?
they call them handhelds.
Like a burger, a handheld?
That's in the section of a menu.
That's
It says
like them trying to be all
sandwich.
artsy, and nobody cares. Like, it's a burger. Like, shut up. Sorry. Same thing with I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that.
All right. So,
All right, next.
I say yes, she says no.
Sorry.
All right, next question. If you had to switch lives with one other person, dead or alive, what? It's not. What time period would you like to live through, or historical event would you like to experience? Think like Magic Treehouse type of vibes. So it's not a specific person, but like
This is a really good
what would you like to
question.
experience?
Who asked that?
Cindy, she has 2.
That's really good.
Like,
She's
if I
very
had to.
inquisitive like that.
Like, I don't want to switch my life with anybody.
Guys, I don't know who I would do, but
Well, if I,
It's like if someone slapped a 0 in spicy, and
Right.
you had to switch.
if I had to switch, I would go with just after the Civil War, and I'd like to live in the Old West, like the Wild
I'm an
West,
Indian
like Billy
And,
Kid,
like, Reconstruction.
Billy the Kid kind of
half Cherokee.
era. I don't think I want to be Billy Kid. I'm not trying to be a murderer,
Really?
but I'd like to
Start singing
live
for y'all.
and just kind of see how that all went down. I'm kind of an Old West junkie. I listen to a lot of podcasts about Billy the Kid and
Do
stuff.
you have the Western Channel that you watch?
I don't actually
No, he
watch the
doesn't. He
Western Channel
watches
because it's
weird,
most of the Western channels are like Gunsmoke and stuff like that. I want to watch actual history.
I don't really know what I would do. When I was in 5th grade, this is gonna sound horrible, but I was really obsessed with like the slaves and like how they escaped and like what is it called? The railroad?
Underground
Underground
Railroad.
Railroad, Harriet
And
Tubman.
like Harriet Tubman, I was obsessed with that. Like we had this lady come, she wrote a book, and it was called I think it was called The Hideaway Place. I can't remember, but it was like the most fascinating book to me. And she like came and like signed my book, and I remember that being so interesting to me. So I think I would want to go back and see. I also love plantation homes like so much. I think they're so pretty. So I'd want to go to like I don't know, like somewhere in like Georgia and see what the houses looked like and how I know that's horrible to be like back in the slave times, but I just thought or like found that kind of stuff. I also think I would want to be a part of the runaway or the railroad.
Underground
Like
Railroad.
hide them in my house. That would be so cool. Anyway, that's probably what I would do.
All right,
I think that's it when it comes to questions.
that's it.
Perfect.
Well, let's talk. We're about done. We got we talk about what we're going to talk about next time.
Okay, so we have two new shows, which this could be good if you guys have made it to the end. You could watch the shows and maybe, listen into what we have to say about them so you're not, like, getting spoiled. I don't know. So we're watching Survivor.
Always.
And
I love Survivor.
The Hunting Party is a new show that we have found and we really like.
I do like The Hunting Party.
So
it's original. I think it's an original story.
It's really good. But it's basically, I'll give a quick synopsis and then you can go watch it. But it's basically a big jail that had all the, like...
Secret jail.
A secret jail that had all the serial killers and all the, like, really bad people locked up inside. And a bomb, an explosion, something happened and they all got out. And so now these three people are on the hunt to find all these serial killers. And so each episode they're like catching a new serial killer.
And there's a ton of serial killers.
And there's like
so it could last for years.
There's like mystery like throughout the same storyline. Does that make sense? Like
there's
like
one running
storyline,
and then there's
which is always
but each show comes to a conclusion about the sub story, which is the serial killer.
What makes a good mystery show, I think, is when they have like The Mentalist, which I think is one of the best shows. What?
We've had this conversation.
You don't like The Mentalist?
No, I love Criminal Minds. Love that. I just think The Mentalist, it gives off too sunshiny of a vibe, in my opinion.
Okay, see, that's why I like it. I don't
Somewhat.
Too sunshiny.
I'm not a fan
it's
of
too happy. I like dark.
Yeah, no, not me. So if you don't
it gets dark at the end there.
Yeah, I love The Mentalist because I love Red John. And I love like how there's like this like serial killer throughout the whole thing. And like I just think it's so interesting. Anyway, so you should watch it. And then we're going to talk about Survivor. We'll talk about our predictions and who we like and all that. And then what else? Oh, right now we're in
NCAA bracket.
March Madness.
Yeah, we're right. Today's the first day of the tournament.
Yeah, tomorrow's women's first day. So we'll update you guys on our brackets. Right now mine's not looking too hot, but...
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
It'll be good.
All right.
So next week, down by 24 right now.
Who is?
By how much?
Georgia.
Yeah.
How much time?
That's not good.
5.5.
Yeah, they're winning one of my brackets. That's perfect. Yeah. So if you have any questions, we read them. So please ask them. We like answering.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then that's it.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye.